You trust the foods lining American grocery shelves, but many of them, especially the ones marketed as heart-healthy or low-fat, quietly overload your kidneys, spike blood pressure, and clash with common medications. And for those of us over 50, the damage builds up silently. Today, we are counting down the 9 worst grocery foods for your kidneys, and the 2 that are actually worth it. Coming in at number 9, we have Campbell's Classic Chicken Noodle Soup. Walk down any grocery aisle and you will see it, that iconic red and white can. The label promises comfort, warmth, and wholesome nourishment. Your grandmother probably kept a dozen in her pantry. Campbell's has built a century of trust on that image. But what Campbell's does not tell you is hiding in plain sight on the nutrition panel. One single can packs 890 milligrams of sodium per serving. And here's the trap. Most people eat 2 servings at once. The can looks small. It feels like a light meal. But that means you are consuming nearly your entire day's kidney-safe limit in one sitting. For someone managing chronic kidney disease, that is 1,780 milligrams of sodium in one bowl. That is catastrophic. Picture this. You are feeling under the weather. Maybe you have a cold. Maybe you just want something warm. You heat up that soup. The steam rises and fogs your glasses. It smells like childhood, like sick days home from school, like your mother's kitchen. The broth is golden. The noodles are soft. The tiny chunks of chicken float in the liquid. But with every spoonful, your kidneys are working overtime. They are frantically trying to balance the sodium flooding your system. High sodium forces them to retain water. Your blood pressure climbs. Blood vessels strain. And if you are on blood pressure medication like millions of seniors, you are now doubling the stress on organs that are already struggling. A study from the American Journal of Kidney Diseases found that people over 60 who consume high-sodium diets are 43% more likely to experience rapid kidney function decline. Campbell's says comforting. Your kidneys say crisis. The label shows a steaming bowl with vegetables and tender chicken, but the reality is a sodium bomb wrapped in nostalgia. And the worst part, most people have no idea. They trust the brand. They trust the marketing. They trust that something this familiar could never betray them. But it does, every single day. At number 8, we have Oscar Mayer bacon. Bacon is an American breakfast staple. The smell alone can wake you from a deep sleep. That sizzle in the pan, the crispy edges turning golden brown, the fat rendering and pooling. Oscar Mayer has built an empire on that sensory experience. They know exactly what they are selling. Nostalgia, indulgence, weekend mornings. But peel back the label and you will find a chemical cocktail designed to preserve, color, and addict. Each slice contains over 400 milligrams of sodium. That is before you add salt to your eggs or butter your toast. Add sodium nitrites for preservation. These compounds prevent bacterial growth and give bacon that appetizing pink color. Without them, the meat would turn gray and unappetizing within days. Add phosphates to lock in moisture and enhance that pink color. These are the same chemicals used in industrial detergents and water treatment plants. Now you have a kidney hazard disguised as breakfast. 3 slices and you have consumed 1,200 milligrams of sodium before 9 in the morning. Your kidney-safe daily limit for the entire day is 1,500 milligrams. You are already at 80%, and the day has just started. Phosphate additives are particularly insidious. They do not metabolize like natural phosphates found in whole foods like beans or fish. Instead, they flood your bloodstream at full concentration. Your kidneys scramble to filter them out. Over time, this leads to dangerous mineral imbalances. Calcium leaches from your bones. Phosphorus builds up in your blood. Blood vessels calcify. Heart disease risk doubles. The National Kidney Foundation warns that phosphate additives in processed meats are a leading driver of kidney decline in adults over 55. Oscar Mayer says smoke cured. But the reality is closer to a chemical bath. The bacon sits in a brine loaded with nitrites, which can convert to harmful compounds in your gut. Studies link high nitrite consumption to increased cancer risk and chronic kidney stress. You bite into that crispy strip and taste salt, fat, and smoke. But your kidneys taste sodium nitrites, binding to red blood cells. They taste phosphates, overwhelming filtration systems. They taste a brand promise that never mentioned the cost. And here is the cruel irony. Bacon is marketed as a treat, a guilty pleasure, something you deserve. But for aging kidneys already working at reduced capacity, it is not a treat. It is a trap. Now at number 7, Kraft Original Mac and Cheese. This one hits different because it is not just a product, it is a memory, a childhood staple, the bright blue box, the promise of creamy, cheesy comfort in under 10 minutes. Kraft has sold billions of boxes by leaning into that nostalgia. But inside that box is a kidney nightmare waiting to happen. One prepared serving contains over 1,200 milligrams of sodium, That is more than half the daily safe limit for someone managing kidney disease. But the sodium is just the beginning. Those bright orange noodles get their color from yellow 5 and yellow 6, artificial dyes that have been linked to inflammation and immune system stress. European countries have banned or restricted these dyes for years, but in America, they are still standard ingredients. The label says real cheese flavor, but the cheese powder is loaded with phosphate additives. Disodium phosphate, sodium tripolyphosphate, tetrasodium pyrophosphate. These are not ingredients your grandmother would recognize. They are lab creations designed to enhance texture and shelf life, and they wreak havoc on kidney function. A University of Pittsburgh study found that people who consume high levels of phosphate additives show measurably faster kidney decline over a 5-year period. The texture is creamy. The taste is familiar, but under a microscope, that bright orange sauce looks like a phosphate slurry. Your kidneys filter every molecule, every additive, every artificial compound. And for seniors on medications that already stress kidney function, this is compounding damage. Kraft promises comfort food, but your kidneys feel anything but comfortable. And the saddest part? Millions of people still buy it weekly, believing it is harmless because it has been around forever. Trust is a powerful drug, and Kraft has been dealing it for decades. If this helps you stay safer at the store, hit subscribe. It is free, and it means you will never miss these exposes. We dig into the foods that betray your trust every single week, and your kidneys will thank you. At number 6, we bring you Chef Boyardee Beef Ravioli. Canned convenience. That is the promise. Pop the top, heat it up. Dinner in 3 minutes. Chef Boyardee has been selling that dream since 1928. But convenience comes at a brutal cost. A single serving of beef ravioli hides 1,060 milligrams of sodium. That is over 45% of the recommended daily limit. But here is the problem. Most seniors eat the entire can. That doubles the sodium load to over 2,100 milligrams in one sitting. Picture the scene. You open the can. The smell hits you. Tomato sauce, meat, and that metallic tang of preservatives. You heat it on the stove. The ravioli puffs up. The sauce bubbles. It looks harmless, but hidden in that sauce is potassium chloride, a preservative used to extend shelf life. For someone with impaired kidney function, potassium is dangerous. Healthy kidneys regulate potassium levels automatically, but damaged kidneys cannot. Potassium builds up. Heart rhythms become irregular. Muscles weaken. In severe cases, it can trigger cardiac arrest. The American Heart Association has flagged high potassium foods as a serious concern for anyone over 60 with chronic kidney disease. Chef Boyardee markets this as ready to serve, but your kidneys are not ready. They are overwhelmed. And the cruel irony is that this product targets budget-conscious shoppers and busy families. People who trust that a brand this old, this familiar, would never put them at risk. But every can is a calculated trade-off. Shelf life over health, profit over safety, convenience over consequence. The label shows a smiling chef, but your kidneys are not smiling. At number 5, Velveeta shells and cheese. Velveeta calls it liquid gold, and they are not wrong about the color. That unnaturally bright, glossy cheese sauce clings to every shell. It is smooth. It is rich. It is everything ultra-processed food engineering was designed to achieve. But it is also phosphate-heavy, sodium-loaded, and a direct assault on aging kidneys. Each prepared serving contains over 900 milligrams of sodium. But because the texture is so rich and creamy, people underestimate portion sizes. They eat more. They go back for seconds. Before they know it, they have consumed 1,500 milligrams or more. That creamy texture comes from emulsifiers and chemical stabilizers. Sodium phosphate, sodium alginate, calcium phosphate. These additives make the cheese sauce stable at room temperature. They prevent separation. They create that signature Velveeta mouthfeel. But inside your body, they force your kidneys to work overtime. Phosphates from additives are absorbed nearly 100% into your bloodstream. Natural phosphates from whole foods, only about 50%. That means Velveeta delivers a concentrated phosphate load that your kidneys cannot escape. A study published in the Clinical Journal of the American Society of Nephrology found that people over 55 who regularly consume processed cheese products show elevated serum phosphate levels, a key marker of kidney stress. Velveeta promises comfort. It delivers stress. The label says creamy. Your kidneys say corrosive. And here is what makes it worse. Velveeta is marketed as a family product. Something quick, something kids love. But for grandparents cooking for grandchildren, it is a hidden risk they never see coming. They trust the brand. They trust the bright packaging. They trust that something this iconic could never harm them. But trust does not filter phosphates. Your kidneys do. and they are losing the battle. Stick around. The fix is coming at the very end, and it could change how you shop forever. Coming in at number 4, ramen noodle packs from Maruchan and Top Ramen. They cost less than $1. They cook in 3 minutes, and they are some of the worst offenders on this list. Ramen noodles are a staple for college students, budget shoppers, and anyone looking for a quick meal. Walk into any convenience store, and you will see entire aisles dedicated to these little packages. Chicken, beef, shrimp, oriental. The options feel endless. But one package can exceed 1,500 milligrams of sodium. That is more than the entire day's recommended limit for anyone over 50 with kidney concerns. That is before you add soy sauce or extra salt. That is just the base product, and it gets worse, much worse. The flavor packet is where the real danger hides. That tiny foil pouch contains a powder that seems impossibly potent for its size. Monosodium glutamate, disodium inosinate, disodium guanylate, maltodextrin, hydrolyzed vegetable protein. These are not spices. These are laboratory creations. These additives amplify flavor by triggering taste receptors in your mouth. They hijack your brain's reward system. They make cheap ingredients taste richer, meatier, more satisfying than they have any right to be. But they also put extra stress on your kidney's filtration system. Your kidneys do not just filter sodium. They filter every chemical additive, every preservative, every flavor enhancer. And when you dump that flavor packet into boiling water, you are creating a chemical soup that your kidneys will spend hours trying to process. A report from the Journal of Nutrition found that people who consume instant noodles more than twice a week have a 30% higher risk of metabolic syndrome, a cluster of conditions that includes high blood pressure, elevated blood sugar, and kidney stress. The noodles themselves are fried in palm oil before packaging. That makes them shelf-stable, but it also makes them calorie-dense and inflammatory. You open the package, the noodles are dry and compact, you add boiling water. They expand, the broth turns golden, the smell is savory and familiar. But under that smell is the scent of sodium and MSG, a scent your kidneys recognize as danger. Maruchan and Top Ramen market these as an easy meal, but there is nothing easy about what they do inside your body. They spike your blood pressure. They overload your kidneys. They create inflammation that lingers for hours. And for seniors on diuretics or blood pressure medications, the interaction can be deadly. These noodles promise quick comfort, but they deliver slow damage. At number 3, Coca-Cola Classic. You might not think of soda as a kidney risk, but research tells a different story. A study from the National Institutes of Health found that people who drink just 2 sugary sodas a day increase their kidney disease risk by up to 30%. Coca-Cola Classic is the most popular soda in America, and it is a kidney disaster in a bottle. The ingredient list starts with high fructose corn syrup. This sweetener spikes insulin faster than regular sugar. It damages the delicate blood vessels that supply your kidneys with oxygen and nutrients. Over time, those vessels harden. Blood flow decreases. Kidney function declines. Then there is the caramel coloring. That dark, rich brown color does not come from caramel. It comes from a chemical process that creates compounds called 4-methylimidazole and 2-methylimidazole. Both have been flagged by researchers as potential kidney stressors. California even requires a cancer warning on products with high levels of these compounds, but Coca-Cola keeps the levels just below the threshold. Convenient. The phosphoric acid in Coke is another problem. It gives the soda that sharp, tangy bite. But it also leaches calcium from your bones and increases phosphate levels in your blood. For someone with compromised kidney function, elevated phosphate is dangerous. It accelerates kidney decline. It calcifies arteries. It increases the risk of heart attack and stroke. You crack open a cold Coke. The fizz hisses. The bubbles rise. The first sip is ice cold and sweet. But your kidneys taste acid. They taste high fructose corn syrup flooding your bloodstream. They taste phosphoric acid disrupting mineral balance. Coca-Cola markets this as refreshing. But for your kidneys, it is corrosive. The brand built an empire on happiness and nostalgia. But the long-term cost is measured in declining kidney function, rising blood pressure, and increased mortality risk. And the worst part? Coca-Cola knows. They have funded studies. They have lobbied against soda taxes. They have spent billions convincing you that moderation is the answer. But for kidneys already under stress, there is no safe amount. Coming in at number 2. Hidden Valley Original Ranch Dressing. It seems harmless. You drizzle it on a salad. You dip your vegetables in it. You use it as a sandwich spread. Hidden Valley Ranch is the best-selling salad dressing in America. But that creamy, tangy flavor hides a triple threat. High sodium, phosphates, added sugars. 1 2-tablespoon serving carries 260 milligrams of sodium. But here is the problem. Most people pour far more than 2 tablespoons. They drench their salad. They use it as a dip. Before they know it, they have consumed 600 milligrams or more. That creamy texture comes from additives like disodium phosphate and calcium disodium EDTA. These compounds prevent separation and extend shelf life. But kidney specialists warn that phosphate additives in condiments are a hidden driver of kidney decline. You do not think about them. You do not see them. But your kidneys filter every molecule. The ingredient list also includes sugar, high fructose corn syrup, and maltodextrin. That slight sweetness you taste, it is designed to make you crave more. But it also spikes your blood sugar and increases inflammation throughout your body. A Harvard study found that people who consume high amounts of processed condiments show measurably higher rates of chronic kidney disease over a 10-year period. The label says made with real buttermilk. And technically it is, but real buttermilk makes up less than 2% of the formula. The rest is soybean oil, modified food starch, and a cocktail of preservatives. You squeeze the bottle. The dressing pours out thick and white. It smells tangy and rich. But your kidneys smell disodium phosphate. They smell sodium chloride. They smell a brand promise that never mentioned the cost. Hidden Valley markets this as a fresh, flavorful addition to healthy eating. But there is nothing healthy about overloading your kidneys with phosphates and sodium while thinking you are making a good choice. That is betrayal. That is the gap between marketing and reality. And for seniors trying to eat better, it is a cruel trick. And finally, number 1, the worst of them all, Banquet frozen Salisbury steak meals. This is it, the single worst grocery item for your kidneys. The culmination of everything we have talked about. Banquet frozen Salisbury steak meals are a kidney hazard in a box. They represent everything wrong with industrial food production. One meal can exceed 1,400 milligrams of sodium. Read that again, 1,400 milligrams. That is more than the entire daily safe limit for anyone over 60 with kidney issues. And we are talking about one dinner, one frozen tray, one meal that takes 4 minutes in the microwave. But sodium is just the beginning. It is the tip of the iceberg. These frozen dinners are loaded with phosphate-laden preservatives, caramel coloring, potassium additives, modified starches, and hydrolyzed proteins. Every ingredient is designed for shelf stability and cost efficiency. None of them, not a single one, are designed for your health. Picture this. You pull the tray from the freezer. The cardboard sleeve shows a perfectly plated meal. Golden brown meat, rich gravy, bright green peas. But the reality inside that box tells a different story. The plastic film is frosted over. Ice crystals cling to the edges. You peel back the corner. The meat looks gray and processed. The gravy is gelatinous and separated. The corn kernels are dull yellow. You microwave it for 4 minutes. The tray spins. The smell fills your kitchen. Not the appetizing smell of home cooking, not the rich aroma of seared beef and onions, but that unmistakable scent of preservatives mixed with artificial beef flavoring. A smell that is somehow both bland and chemically intense. The tray is hot. Steam rises as you peel back the film completely. The gravy bubbles. You take a bite. The texture is soft and salty. The flavor is familiar. But hidden in that gravy is sodium tripolyphosphate, used to retain moisture in the meat. There is potassium chloride, used as a salt substitute to lower sodium counts on paper while maintaining flavor. There is caramel color, made from ammonia-treated sugars that create byproducts linked to kidney stress. Banquet markets these meals as hearty and satisfying. But for aging kidneys, they are heavy and harmful. The danger is invisible until it is too late. You do not feel your kidneys struggling. You do not feel phosphates building up in your blood. You do not feel potassium levels creeping toward dangerous territory. You just feel full and tired and a little bloated. But those are warning signs. Signs that your kidneys are overwhelmed. A report from the Centers for Disease Control found that frozen dinners are among the top contributors to excess sodium intake in adults over 65. And Banquet leads the category. The box shows a golden brown steak with rich gravy and vegetables, but the reality is a chemical stew wrapped in plastic. This is the worst because it combines every risk factor: excessive sodium, phosphate additives, potassium overload, and it is marketed to the exact demographic most at risk: seniors, people on fixed incomes, people who trust that a brand this affordable, this convenient, would never put them in harm's way. But it does, every single meal. And the cruelest part? Banquet knows. They have the data, they see the complaints, but they keep producing it because it is profitable. That is the betrayal. That is why it is number 1. You won't believe what actually protects your kidneys. Most people get this completely wrong. The first actual safe option is Kettle and Fire low sodium bone broth. After everything we just walked through, you deserve real solutions. And this is one of them. Kettle and Fire low sodium bone broth delivers deep, rich flavor and high-quality protein with minimal sodium and zero phosphate additives. That makes it kidney-friendly and gentle on blood pressure. Real bone broth is simmered for hours. Bones break down, collagen releases. Minerals like calcium and magnesium dissolve into the liquid. What you get is nourishing, bioavailable nutrition without the chemical additives that destroy kidney function. A single serving contains only 95 milligrams of sodium. Compare that to Campbell's soup at 890 milligrams. That is a massive difference. And because it is made from organic bones and filtered water, there are no hidden phosphates, no preservatives, no potassium chloride, just real food. You heat it on the stove. The steam rises. It smells rich and savory, almost meaty. You take a sip. The flavor is deep and satisfying. And your kidneys? They are not scrambling to filter out chemicals. They are absorbing nutrients. Bone broth supports joint health, gut health, and immune function, all critical for seniors. And because it is low in sodium, it does not spike blood pressure or force your kidneys to retain water. This is what food should be: simple, clean, nourishing, and transparent. Kettle and Fire lists every ingredient. There are no surprises, no fine print. If you are looking to replace canned soups, broths, or salty stocks, this is your answer. It is widely available. You can find it at Whole Foods, Target, and online. And it is worth every penny, because your kidneys deserve better than sodium bombs disguised as comfort food. The second recommendation is Ezekiel 4:9 sprouted whole grain bread. Bread might seem like an odd choice for kidney health, but here is why it matters. Most commercial breads are loaded with added sugars, sodium, and preservatives. They spike blood sugar, they increase inflammation, and they contribute to the slow, silent damage that accelerates kidney decline. Ezekiel 4:9 sprouted whole grain. Bread is different. It is made from sprouted grains and legumes. No added sugars, no chemical preservatives, no hidden sodium, no phosphate additives, just whole food ingredients that your body recognizes and processes efficiently. Sprouting grains unlocks nutrients. It makes them easier to digest. It increases protein content and reduces the glycemic load. That means your blood sugar stays stable. Your kidneys are not flooded with insulin spikes, and your body gets sustained energy without the crash. Each slice contains only 75 milligrams of sodium. Compare that to most commercial breads, which contain over 150 milligrams per slice. And because it is high in fiber, it supports healthy digestion and helps regulate blood pressure. Fiber binds to excess sodium in your gut and helps flush it out before it reaches your bloodstream. You open the bag. The bread is dense and hearty. You can see whole grains and seeds pressed into every slice. You toast it lightly. The edges crisp up. The center stays soft. You take a bite. The texture is chewy and satisfying. The flavor is slightly nutty and earthy. And your kidneys? They are processing real food. Not chemicals, not additives, not a betrayal wrapped in plastic. Ezekiel bread is available at most grocery stores in the freezer section. Keep it frozen until you are ready to use it. Toast it straight from the freezer and enjoy bread the way it was meant to be. Simple, clean, and actually good for you. If you are managing kidney health, blood pressure, or diabetes, this is a staple you can trust. No fine print, no hidden dangers, just real ingredients doing what they are supposed to do. Nourish you. Your kidneys filter 50 gallons of blood every single day. They remove waste. They balance fluids. They regulate blood pressure, and they do it all silently. You do not feel them working. You do not feel them struggling until it is too late. The 9 foods we just walked through are not accidents. They are not mistakes. They are calculated decisions made by brands that prioritize profit over your health. They promise comfort, convenience, and flavor. But they deliver sodium overload, phosphate stress, and long-term kidney damage. And they target the exact demographic most at risk. You, seniors managing blood pressure, people on medications, anyone trying to eat better but trusting the wrong labels. That is the betrayal. But here is the good news. You have the power to choose differently. You do not need those frozen dinners. You do not need that canned soup. You do not need ranch dressing with 15 ingredients you can't pronounce. You can choose Kettle and Fire bone broth. You can choose Ezekiel sprouted bread. You can choose real food over chemical convenience. And your kidneys will thank you every single day. This is not about perfection. It is about awareness. It is about reading labels. It is about asking why a product needs 12 preservatives if it is really just chicken and noodles. Those questions matter. Those choices add up. And over time, they can mean the difference between thriving and declining. So the next time you are at the grocery store, pause. Look at the sodium content. Check for phosphate additives. Ask yourself if this brand has earned your trust or just bought it with decades of marketing. Your kidneys are counting on you, and you deserve better than hidden dangers wrapped in nostalgia. Subscribe now. And if you are watching on TV, tap your remote so you never get blindsided again. Because every week we are digging into the foods that betray you, and every week we are giving you the truth they do not want you to know. Stay safe out there.